All right, guys, it's that time again. I know it's one of your favorite videos. So let's talk about the stocks that I'm buying right now. And if you just look back to just last month, two of those three stocks just had massive, huge, incredible runs. So that kind of begs the question, are they still on the list to buy this month? And there's something entirely new that I'm not really sure we've ever discussed intimately here on this channel that we're going to talk about today. And I'll give you the stocks that are kind of related to that as well that I'm looking for as well. So there's a lot to get into, so just, go ahead and gently tap that like button and consider subscribing too. It's super easy to do if you like the truth without the hype. There's actually 15 stocks on my watch list, so if you want to see that, plus all of my buys on the stocks that we're discussing today, and everything else in real time right whenever I have them, make sure you check out the pinned comment down there because the flash sale is ending for my group tomorrow, where you get all of that, plus 5 courses you can take for free. We got a stock analyzer tool that's coming that's going to be completely free for members. The best 6- and 7-figure Discord out there where we talk about all things, all stocks, all the time, including retirement and real estate and everything else. And there are several hundred lessons, tutorials, all kinds of other tools, tips and tricks, things of that nature in the group. So make sure you check out the pinned comment down there and get your spot before the sale expires. Now remember, these are just the stocks that I'm looking to buy based upon my plan, my price targets, how many shares I own, and everything else involved with all that. And stocks honestly kind of come on and off this list. Sure, they're actually on my watch list, but the list that I give you guys are the stocks that I'm specifically targeting right now. It just means that these are the ones that are kind of closest to that target right now today and are, kind of like on the best discount in my opinion, of course. So remember, back, October, November, December, I was getting blasted for having stocks like Meta on there in the 80s and Google on there in the 80s and Amazon on there in the 80s, and then kind of switched. I had Tesla on there for a little bit whenever it was down in the low 100s, Palantir down in the 6s and 7s, and even SoFi was on there in the 4s and 5s forever, it seemed, and a bunch of other stocks that just, when they get beaten down like that, that's my favorite time to buy, even though I know the narrative around those stocks is exactly the opposite. So that's kind of what this list kind of represents here. It doesn't mean I think these are going to be the best stocks, to own 3 to 5 years from now. It to me just means it's the ones that are closest to my price targets according to my plan and all those sort of things like that. Just so that way you guys kind of have up front exactly what I'm looking at, exactly my logic behind these picks. Again, I'm not saying that this stock's going to return better than this other stock over here, in 10 years. I'm not saying that at all. Just that these are the ones that are closest to my target. So the first stock up would be PayPal. And I know, guys, it finally started to march up just a little bit. We got just a little bit of creep on it. And of course, it's on its way back down again, it seems, completely losing that momentum. And that's just kind of been the story of this stock for more than a year now, to be honest. It just kind of starts to go and then it just kind of creeps its way down. It goes on a nice run and then it just kind of slowly bleeds that run down. It's just kind of stuck in purgatory right now, guys. And in regards to when it comes out of that, if anybody's giving you a definitive answer, they don't know. That's not true at all. And nobody has any clue as to when that actually is going to happen. But on the flip side of that, I will say that I can absolutely point to a couple things that I think once they flip and once I see those things flip is absolutely going to flip that switch for PayPal. Now, whether it flips the switch the very next day or whether it flips the switch, 3 months, 6 months from after that time, I have no idea. But until, basically regional banking and, fintech and all that sort of stuff gets out of the doghouse, which has been in the doghouse for a while now, that, PayPal is not going anywhere at all. And then on the flip side of that, they need to name that new CEO. And who they name will absolutely determine if PayPal makes a run anytime soon. So those are kind of the two things that I'm waiting on there. Otherwise, the business is executing underneath. There continues to be positive news come out all the time for PayPal. It's kind of quiet, I know, because it's in the doghouse right now. You're not going to hear about it. But for me, in terms of risk reward right now in the market, you'd be hard pressed to find something that has a better risk reward profile to PayPal. And I know, guys, it's been down for more than a year. Everybody's saying the stock is dead. It's not going anywhere. And I would surmise to you that this isn't unusual. If Apple, during the greatest bull market of all time, can stay flat or down for, 6 months, a year and a half time frame during the greatest bull market of all time, just now coming out of this bear market here and whatever all the other garbage that we've been going through for the past year, PayPal being down for that entire year is not out of the realm of possibility, and to me actually seems kind of normal in regards to how cycles on stocks actually work. So I'm not that concerned with that right now, and to me it's not a discussion point as to whether or not PayPal is dead or not as a business itself. So until that all happens, we're stuck just having to be patient. And you guys know, if you've been following me for any length of time, you have to be patient with stocks and the stock market in general. So this is just part of the journey. And I guess since I already gave it away, we might as well talk about SoFi next. And yes, it's still on my list. However, it has enjoyed just a rocket ship type ride up. And of course, now it's bleeding itself back down. And that's okay, guys. This is part of what happens and part of why I've been buying a stock that has been doing great for a really, really long time. It's just been crushing it underneath, but why I've been patient with it. I have not bought any of the hype runs. I have waited until it came back down. Now, I agree with you guys. It's going to eventually rocket up and not come back down, kind of like Palantir did, right? But Palantir also turned the profitability knob. It's also part of the whole, AI is all the rage right now. So what they're doing is in favor. Obviously, SoFi being fintech and a very small bank, relative to the big boys, that's out of favor right now. And that's not working for SoFi, obviously against a lot of the other factors that are working against SoFi. The stock, the company underneath has been great. So one of the beauties of having a plan and executing a plan over the course of an entire, year and year over year over year is I was able to comfortably add this stock in the 4s and in the 5s every single time it fell down to it. I didn't fall for any of the FOMO runs. We were in the middle of a bear market. There's no chance that a unprofitable company that's trying to, at that stage, turn the ship in the right direction, completely pivot away from their main core business to a completely new type of business was not going to come back down. There was going to be no hype runs. There was going to be no repeat of 2020, 2021 all over again in those stocks. So I knew that I had time. But as they inch closer and closer and closer to that profitability mark, the less and less time you're going to have, and the more that becomes a gamble per se to do. So for me, I get to sit back comfortably every time it runs, knowing I basically have all the shares that I want. I'm adding bonus shares now, and I'm very, very comfortable with where I'm at. However, if you're one of those folks where you just now learned about SoFi, you're just not wanting to get into it, whatever the case is, one of the best ways to eliminate that is just do a simple DCA, guys. Hey, all right, a little bit hot, cool. Start your DCA right now. DCA as it falls, pick up shares, accumulate, find a mark where you're like, hey, I want to add a little bit heavier there, add a little bit heavier, or just continue to execute a DCA all the way through. It's almost impossible to beat. So I don't know why so many folks are trying to time the tops or time the bottoms or figure out where the stock's going in the short term. It's useless. You can just DCA into a great stock where you love the company, and the rest of it will all work out in the end for you long term. And kind of the last piece that I wanted to discuss, and it's honestly a piece that we talked about a little bit. I'm sure at some point in time I've glossed over the topic, but we've not really discussed it in depth here a little bit, and why it would actually be, one of the top, groups, areas that would be on my watch list, and that would be dividend stocks, guys. We are finally starting to see cracks in some of those safety stocks, some of those old man towel stocks, dividend stocks, whatever the heck you want to call them. We're finally starting to see some cracks in those stocks. The vast majority of them, now it's not all of them. Please don't take it that way. I'll give you an example of some ones that I've been buying right now. And there's obviously some other huge fish out there that are absolutely beaten down and have absolutely fallen way off and have not been in that bull cycle. But for right now, those stocks, a lot of them have been significantly overvalued, and they're finally starting to come back down. And that's kind of where I see that next opportunity kind of lying in regards to the stock market overall. Now, remember, these type stocks aren't like, your high growth stocks or anything else where those kind of move like jet skis. This is more like the Titanic. It's going to take forever for these ships to turn around and for them to fall and to start coming back down to fair value where I think they should be. And of course, where I would like to add. So that's kind of something for you to kind of keep top of mind there. And you're probably asking yourself, Luke, why are you looking to even add dividend stocks? I mean, sure, you're doing some for some diversification or something else like that, but why are you looking for that? I have multiple dividend stocks already in my portfolio today that provide me very, very nice income. But as I've kind of moved through my financial journey over life, every stage of it has been building pillars, I call them pillars, of income into my pocket per se. So, you have your businesses over here, and of course, the more businesses you start, the more you make them more efficient, the more money that comes in. Now, all the money that kind of comes in once I've kind of paid for my living expenses, and I live very, very cheaply, as you guys probably know, all that money goes back to be reinvested. So you kind of have that. Then you have real estate, which provides me income every month. And now I have some dividend stocks, but what I'd like to do is I'd like to beef up that pillar even greater. So that way, in the event all this other stuff goes across, all the businesses go away, all the real estate goes away for whatever reason, I still have a pillar here that can sustain me just fine with absolutely no worries over the long term. And honestly, when I was 25, I wouldn't have really cared that much about that. But, now at a much older age, it's definitely something of, hey, I'm not sure how much more I need to build in terms of growth stocks and things of that nature. Not that I'm not still looking to, grow my wealth or anything else like that. Absolutely, I am. But I also recognize that, hey, as incomes go up over time, as everything continues to rise over time, and as the money to me, becomes almost more of a hedge, almost more of a safety play of, hey, I'd like to build this out here more so that way I do have an additional stream of income in the event all this sort of stuff comes away. So that's kind of my logic there in regards to that. We're actually going to do like a summer series on this entire pillar concept. It's actually in one of my courses, but we're going to kind of do that this summer here with the group. So, make sure you kind of check that out too if you're interested in something like that long term, kind of understanding old school retirement, the way we were taught retirement versus where I feel retirement will be, 5 years from now. The reality of retirement right now, one, and two, where I think it's going to be 5 years or 10 years from now, looks totally opposite from this. Like most things in life, the thing that's pitched to us, the dream, whatever, is not reality, and reality is going to be way over here. So that's kind of what that series is going to focus on there. But that's the reason why dividend stocks are on there. Some dividend stocks I've been buying specifically lately. I guess the big one that's kind of fallen, I have several on my list that I want to buy that just haven't fallen yet. But the big one that has fallen has been Walgreens. Again, they got caught up with all the stuff with the state of California. Obviously, CVS had a massive, guidance adjustment, and that affected Walgreens. Walgreens will report here shortly, so we'll see what happens there. Obviously, if they're showing that same weakness, it's going to, hurt the stock price, and the stock price is already low. So that's kind of why I have it right here, because right now I really like the risk reward, but that earnings call is going to be key to if indeed we truly have a large problem, or, is it just going to be a minor bump and something that, it's going to fix itself, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever the case is. So that's key to me there. And that's just an example of one of the stocks that I'm looking at. And remember, if you want to take part in that series, you want the stock analyzer tool for free, you want to be able to take 5 courses, see all my buy and sell alerts, see all these stocks as I buy them in real time, and a ton more, make sure you check out the pinned comment, get your flash sale price before it goes away forever. And if you're interested in my plan to actually execute on all this, click this video right here so that way you get my exact plan for it. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.